Good afternoon. Uganda is currently facing its 8th Ebola outbreak since 2000, caused by the Sudan Ebola virus, which lacks an authorized vaccine. The situation began with a 32-year-old male nurse who died from multi-organ failure at Mulango National Referral Hospital in Kampala. He had visited multiple healthcare facilities and a traditional healer before his death. This outbreak follows a previous one that occurred in September 2022, centered in Mubende district, and was declared over after 4 months. This is our top story today, here at The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I am your Ambassador Susan Nganga. Now, to the latest in the Ebola outbreak. A 4-year-old child has become the second person to die of Ebola in Uganda since the outbreak was declared in late January. The World Health Organization confirmed health officials had hoped the virus was contained, but after its recovery, new infections with the Sudan strain have raised concerns. With no approved vaccines for this strain, Uganda has launched a vaccination trial, while WHO and local authorities work to strengthen contact tracing and surveillance. Here is more on that story by our very own Peruskego.
A 4-year-old child became the second person to die of Ebola in Uganda since the outbreak was announced in late January, the World Health Organization confirmed. On Tuesday, Ugandan health officials confirmed that the country had recorded 10 infections with the Sudanese strain of the virus. The death of the child is seen as a setback for the health officials, who had hoped the highly infectious disease had been contained after 8 people had recovered following treatment. The child passed away at Mulango Hospital in the capital, Kampala, the only facility in the country for dealing with Ebola cases. The first victim was a male nurse who died the day before the outbreak was declared on 30th January. Symptoms of the often fatal disease include fever, headaches, muscle pains, and bleeding. The virus is transmitted through contact with infected bodily fluids and tissues. Contact tracing is key to stemming the spread of Ebola, and the World Health Organization are working to strengthen this together with surveillance. There are no approved vaccine for the Sudan strain. However, a vaccination trial was launched in Uganda earlier this month. The World Health Organization has given Uganda at least $3 million to support its Ebola response, but there are concerns about funding in the wake of the U.S. administration decision to cut funding to USAID. Uganda's last outbreak, discovered in September 2022, killed at least 55 people before it was declared over in January 2023. More than 15,000 people have died in Ebola in Africa in the past 50 years. It was discovered in 1976 in simultaneous outbreak in South Sudan and Congo, where it occurred in a village near the Ebola River, after which the disease is named. Uganda's Ebola outbreak remains a serious concern, with rising cases and no approved vaccine. Health officials are ramping up efforts to contain the virus amid funding challenges. Peruskego, GBS News.
As the world marks World Wildlife Day, conservationists in Kenya are warning about shrinking wildlife habitats, threatening both animal population and tourism livelihoods. While conservation efforts have yielded positive results, climate change and human activities are jeopardizing progress. However, new strategies like wildlife corridors offer hope in tackling this crisis. Irene Jaguna reports.
As Kenya celebrates its rich wildlife on World Wildlife Day, conservationists are sounding the alarm about the increasing loss of habitat for the country's diverse animal populations. For years, Kenya has been a global leader in wildlife conservation, drawing millions of tourists who come to witness its iconic species. But now, climate change, human encroachment, and destruction of natural habitats are taking a heavy toll. Despite these challenges, conservation efforts are showing signs of success. In recent decades, species like the endangered black rhino have seen a steady recovery thanks to targeted initiatives and stronger protection measures. Lower Wildlife Conservancy, located 260 kilometers north of Nairobi, is one of the leading examples of such efforts. Over the past few years, the non-profit has expanded its land holdings in a concentrated effort to link the Mount Kenya forest preserve to the range lands of northern Kenya. By connecting these wildlife areas, law is providing both wildlife and the local communities with a future where biodiversity and human development can thrive side by side. Conservationists hope that these corridors, along with ongoing efforts, will secure a better future for the country's remarkable ecosystems. Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
Ramadan is here. Tunisia's historic city of Kairoun comes alive with the tradition of polishing copper kitchenware, a cherished practice passed down through generation. For artisans like Mohamed Zarimdi, this season brings a surge in demand as family prepare to gather for meals before dawn and after dusk. This story will be brought to you later on the bulletin. Now, in Cape Town, the annual Pride March took on a solemn tone as participants paid tribute to Imam Muhsin, as openly gay religious leader who was tragically killed last month. Marchers carried banners demanding justice and called for greater inclusivity and safety for the LGBTQ plus community. Triza Tiango brings us that report.
Crowds gathered in the heart of Cape Town for the city's annual Pride March, but this year, the event was more than just a celebration, it was also a call for justice. Many carried signs honoring Imam Muhsin Hendricks, an openly gay Islamic leader and LGBTQ plus advocate who was shot dead last month. Hendricks was known internationally for his work in creating safe spaces for queer Muslims. His death has sparked outrage and renewed calls for action against state crimes in South Africa.
He was spreading the word to his own community, to the kids in his community, young people, gay, queer people, that wasn't accepted by his family, and he accepted them as a father figure.
As investigations continue, advocates urge authorities to ensure justice for Imam Muhsin Hendricks. His impact on the LGBTQ and Muslim communities will not be forgotten. Irene Juguna, GBS News.
We apologize, that was Irene Juguna with that story. And that's all for now on our current segment. We'll be back after this break with more on the escalating situation in Gaza, including the latest on the ceasefire developments and the humanitarian crisis unfolding in the region. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
There's nothing that can happen to a man, not unless God allows it to happen.
Do according to him, and he shall love you. He shall love them, and he shall take care of them, because he says, those who love me, I will hold their hands till the end of time.
Invite someone to come to your house. One of the things that they cannot forget is the phone charge.
When it comes to relationships and probably communication, that distance is not a barrier.
Yeah.
But it is in communication, in effective communication.
Oh, have you told your daughter how they acquire HIV and AIDS? When I go to speak in school, they will tell me, ukimwi ni mnyama mbaya. And no, sio mnyama. They have to know how it happens.
Hello, kids. Did you know a year has 31,557,600 seconds? Why do you think so? Exactly. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, and 365 days in a year. We count the extra 0.25 because of leap year. When you multiply all these numbers together, you get a huge number of seconds.
That's why a year feels long, but time still flies when you are having fun.
How can I start the missionary school? And God was giving me the heart to start the missionary school. In 1972, my most beautiful daughter was born. I didn't raise my daughter, but God raised my daughter, so she was raised so wonderfully to work for the gospel. And so 1976, the missionary school was born. And I feel so moved as the church is moving for the gospel. The pastor lives for this.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin now. United States President Donald Trump has announced plans to create a new strategic reserve for digital assets, naming 5 major cryptocurrencies he once included in a bid to make the United States a crypto capital of the world. This announcement has sent shockwaves through the crypto market, sparking significant price jumps. Here is more on that story.
Hello, Bitcoiners.
The US President Donald Trump has revealed his plans for a new strategic reserve of cryptocurrencies, which he hopes will help the United States become the crypto capital of the world. This initiative involves the inclusion of 5 popular cryptocurrencies, which include Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Trump's announcement has had an immediate impact on the cryptocurrency market, with prices of these coins surging shortly after the news broke. Solana, Cardano, and XRP saw increases of up to 62%, while Bitcoin and Ethereum also jumped by more than 10%. The sudden rise in market values has sparked significant interest, but questions remain about the details of Trump's proposed strategic reserve. The president, who quoted the crypto community during his 2024 campaign, signed an order directing the Presidential Working Group to move forward with the creation of this crypto strategic reserve. In a social media post, Trump stated that the reserve will include Solana, Cardano, XRP, with Bitcoin and Ethereum positioned as central components of the stockpile. This development comes after a period of heightened scrutiny over cryptocurrencies under the administration of President Joe Biden, who had overseen a crackdown on digital assets, citing concerns about fraud, money laundering, and financial stability. Trump's approach marks a stark contrast to the Biden administration's regulatory stance, which has put crypto enthusiasts on edge. This initiative also signals a shift in Trump's previously held views on cryptocurrencies. As recently as 2021, he referred to Bitcoin as a scam, yet in recent weeks, both Trump and his wife Melania have launched their own cryptocurrencies, fueling accusations that they may be positioning themselves to profit from these policies. In the coming days, more details are expected to emerge, particularly after Trump scheduled Crypto Summit at the White House this Friday, where he is likely to further elaborate on his vision for America's role in global crypto economy. Twiza Tiengo, GBS News.
Global leaders conducted a meeting at the United Kingdom to draft a ceasefire plan that will end the Russia-Ukraine war. The aim was the summit was to submit a ceasefire solution to the United States President Donald Trump in order for the United States to provide security guarantees to Ukraine. This comes after Trump and Zelensky clashed in the Oval Office on Friday, straining the relations between the two countries. Abdi Hamid Ali has more on that report.
Can Ukraine win the war without America, Mr. President?
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called for an emergency summit and invited European leaders to draft a ceasefire plan that will end the 3-year war between Russia and Ukraine. Leaders like French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and Canadian outgoing Premier Justin Trudeau were present in the summit. The emergency summit comes after US President Donald Trump, together with Vice President J.D. Vance, clashed with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. During the meeting, J.D. Vance talked about engaging with Russia in a diplomatic manner.
The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
However, Zelensky pointed out that Russia, on numerous occasions, broke truce with Ukraine after the annexation of Crimea in 2014.
2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
The question, what kind of diplomacy, triggered J.D. Vance, and what followed afterwards is a verbal clash that has shocked the global community.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Zelensky responded by warning the leaders about Russia. That angered Trump.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. Right now, not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Vance accused Zelensky of not thanking the U.S. for supporting Ukraine during the 3-year war and for supporting the campaign of Kamala Harris.
You said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Trump continued to shout at Zelensky a name called Biden.
He's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have our military equipment, our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
A reporter asked Trump about the possibility of Putin breaking the ceasefire agreement. This is his response.
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam.
The interaction has caused many backlash, many praising Zelensky for his restraint and conduct, while Republicans defended Trump by calling Zelensky disrespectful.
Never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance, standing up for our country. We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. I think most Americans saw a guy that they would not want to go in business with.
Ukrainians reacted to the verbal clash and defended their president.
It is not Ukraine that is gambling with the Third World War. No. More likely, we are being used in this game as a bargaining chip. But we shall overcome, no doubt about that, with or without aid, because we are a nation with a strong spirit. Neither Trump nor Putin can be trusted, but our president can. No question about that.
Global leaders showed their support to Ukraine. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau defended Zelensky.
On Friday in the Oval Office, President Zelensky pointed out, in so many words, that Vladimir Putin is a liar and a criminal and cannot be trusted to keep his word in any way, shape, or form, because he has demonstrated time and time again that he will break any agreements.
During the emergency summit, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer stressed the importance of supporting Ukraine.
Support peace in our continent, and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing.
While the EU chief Ursula von der Leyen stressed the importance of increasing defense.
We are ready, together with you, to defend democracy, to defend the principle that there is a rule of law, that you cannot invade your neighbor and bully your neighbor, or you cannot change borders.
Today, reports emerged that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is interested in rebuilding the fractured relationship with Trump. Zelensky said Ukraine is still ready to sign the mineral deal with the US. With Trump's and Zelensky poor diplomatic relationship on full display, the question remains, will Trump fail to provide any form of military aid for Ukraine to defend their sovereignty? Will Europe formulate a ceasefire plan that includes the provision of security guarantees? Only time will tell. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Well, you're right, Abdi. Only time will tell. Now, a potential trade standoff looms between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. President Trump has suggested that both nations could face significant tariffs, citing concerns over the flow of fentanyl across their borders. But as of now, the details remain uncertain. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has made it clear that his government will respond strongly if these tariffs are enacted. Here's more on that report.
The US president has suggested that Canada and Mexico should face 25 levies over the concern about the flow of fentanyl across their borders. However, Commerce Secretary Howard stated that the situation is still uncertain, clarifying that the president is still considering the best approach with both countries and the details are still being worked out. He emphasized that tariffs will be imposed on Tuesday, but the extent of the nature of those tariffs will be decided by the president and his team. Howard mentioned that the situation remains fluid and that he is in constant communication with the president on this matter. While acknowledging that Canada and Mexico have made efforts to secure their border, Howard noted that fentanyl continues to flow into the US. Last week, President Trump caused some confusion when he mentioned a potential April 2nd deadline for the tariffs, only to later reaffirm that the decision will be made on Tuesday. In addition to the potential tariffs on Canada and Mexico, Trump also stated that he will impose an extra 10% tariff on Chinese exports, bringing the total to 20%.
It's 10 plus 10. In case, was there confusion on that?
There was, sir, yeah.
Okay, 10 plus 10. It's a second 10.
In response, Canadian Prime Minister Justin vowed a strong reaction if tariffs are imposed. Justin emphasized that Canada will continue to work to avoid tariffs, but if they were enacted, the country will respond decisively, further pointing out that data shows very little fentanyl has entered the US through Canada, and the quantities have only decreased over time.
We will continue to work to ensure, to do everything we can to make sure that there are no tariffs on Tuesday. But if ever there were tariffs on Tuesday, as we have all seen, as we were ready to do last time, we will have a strong, unequivocal, and proportional response as Canadians expect.
Trudeau said the data show
Escalating standoff over fragile ceasefire. The move comes after Hamas urged Egyptian and Qatari mediators to step in and uphold the truce that has paused fighting over the past 6 weeks. Meanwhile, Israel's government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has agreed to a United States proposed temporary ceasefire covering the Ramadan and Passover periods. Here's more on that scene.
The ceasefire extension will last until the end of Ramadan on March 31st and continue through Passover ending around April 20th. Under its term, Hamas will release half of the remaining hostages on the first day, with the rest freed only if a permanent ceasefire is agreed upon. However, Hamas has rejected this proposal, insisting on adhering to the previously agreed upon phased deal, which included negotiation for a long-time end to hostilities. The militant group maintains that it will only release the remaining Israeli hostages under the original terms. In response, Israel has halted the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, with Netanyahu's office declaring that no ceasefire will continue without the release of all hostages. The situation remains highly volatile, with reports of Israeli gunfire killing 4 Palestinians in a separate incident. While Israel claims that these individuals pose security threat, the casualties highlight the fragile nature of the ceasefire. With both sides at an impasse, pressure is mounting on international mediators from Egypt and Qatar to find a resolution. However, deep divisions remain over Gaza's post-war governance and Hamas's role in the territory's future. As diplomatic efforts continue, the humanitarian crisis worsens, leaving millions of displaced Palestinians in dire need. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
That's all for today at The Ambassador. Thank you for joining us as we uncover the latest developments. We'll continue to bring you more updates on these stories and more as they unfold. Remember, this is The Ambassador, where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. I have been your Ambassador, Susan Nganga. Good afternoon.
Everywhere.